Well, first of all, just to express my appreciation for everybody making the effort to come and join us on this Kathina day. It's as Ajahn Yaniko read, it's an opportunity to gather and have an occasion where the sangha and the laity have it's an expression of the communal nature of what we are doing. The sangha lives independence on the lay community for our physical existence and our opportunity to live the holy life, and the the lay community has the opportunity to help support, but then also to draw close to the examples of and to receive the encouragement for spiritual practice in one's life, and that is really important. And when it's done skillfully, it's a very beautiful thing. It is I think one of the things that the Buddha made much of throughout his life was that the way in which we can, say, honor the Buddha in the most complete way is to practice the Dhamma, and that to whether we are monastics or whether we're lay people, to be able to bring this teaching, the way of training, and the principles of truth into our daily life, into how we live together as human beings, and that's a way in which the Buddha is completely present, even if he, say, physically passed away over 2,500 years ago. It is the practice of the Dhamma that keeps everything alive and keeps up the connection and relationship to the to the Buddha, to the historical Buddha, so that it's our opportunity to be able to continue to draw close to the Buddha, and that is oftentimes it doesn't really matter which or what religion it is. It can become very kind of dry, boring, meaningless, and but it is the whatever, and particularly Buddhism, of course, the purpose or the reason why the Buddha taught was to give others the opportunity, give the tools for living a life of freedom from suffering, freedom from complication, freedom from difficulty, and because whether in the time of the Buddha, of course, people found ways to suffer. 2,500 years have passed, and we're still finding ways to suffer. But do you realize that we do have options, and those the teachings are really an opportunity for all of us to bring these fundamental truths of how to view ourselves and view the world around us in a way that doesn't increase suffering, and what it increases is actually happiness and well-being, both personally as well as socially and communally. So that it's a great opportunity. And just thinking of actually before the meal offering, talking to Kevin, and we're talking about stories and the importance of stories, because you can have the Four Noble Truths, Eightfold Path, 12 links of dependent origination, and then you're already, your head is hitting your chest, and even though they're all true and they're all really important, but stories are important, so that, say, even like Kathina, Ajahn Yaniko reading the story of the Kathina, and it has a background. It has these were real people, real kind of events that happened. Can we verify it? Is it? Is it? Well, who knows? But it's a story that is applicable. It's useful to reflect and recollect. The Buddha was concerned about communal harmony. That was something that, say, in his 2,500 years of teaching, that's something that came up over and over and over again. The value that the Buddha placed on communal harmony, so that it doesn't, how do you say, the story that was read, to me, doesn't have a ring of a falsehood or worthy of skepticism. It's quite could be very well could be the case, because that's the Buddha placed just tremendous emphasis on communal harmony, and in fact, there's one story that comes to mind is say a monk who was an arahant, fully awakened being, and then he thought, well, here I am, fully awakened, fully enlightened. I don't want to go to that Patimokkha meeting again. I've been there, done that, and then of course the meeting took place. The Buddha noticed that the monk was missing, sent word for him to come, and explained that and he explained his logic, and said, here I am, I'm fully awakened now, I don't have any more work to do. He said, well, it's not all about you. It's about the legacy that is being passed on. It's about the community. It's about the collective is important. And then that this, unless one is really sick, one is not exempt from going to the Patimokkha is a recitation of the rules that we do on a fortnightly basis, and so that's something that the Buddha placed great importance on, because he wanted to have the community grounded in principles, say not just of Dhamma in terms of say teachings on truth and teachings on practice toward truth, but also what's called Vinaya, which is the kind of rules and social conventions that one lives by. These have an importance. Says that when the Buddha was passing away, it was Ananda quite, say, upset, and you've been our leader, and who is going to lead the sangha now? Who's going to lead the community? And the Buddha, of course, said, well, even while I was alive, I wasn't really leading. But what is going to the leader is the Dhamma and the Vinaya, this teaching and this training. That is what is the to take as the so after the Buddha passed away, there never was a sort of a successor to the Buddha who was appointed. It was always the teaching and the training, and that is something that has been passed on and is still accessible today. This Dhamma, this Vinaya, this teaching, this training, the way of practice, way of living is still available to us, and so that's the conduit into the qualities of the Buddha. So that we, as Ajahn Chah used to say, the Buddha is still here. And yes, I mean the historical Buddha has passed away, but say that Buddha principle of awakening and awakened knowing is always present. So that we have that opportunity to access it. And of course, it takes a whole lot of training and guidance and kind of trial and error, a certain humility and making mistakes and learning from them, and that's how we learn. And that's how anybody learns. You see what works and see what didn't work, and you learn from it. But I remember one time Ajahn Tomato being kind of frustrated of what like this Dhamma Vinaya and these teachings and the rules. Because the Vinaya means sort of discipline training, but it's particular has a meaning toward the monastic rules of conduct, and has a wider application as well. But what is this? Because sometimes frustrating to have all these kind of rules, and it feels like constraints. And Ajahn Chah sort of said, well, you have to realize that they say, like the Vinaya is all about holding on. Say the training or the rules or kind of precepts or forms of discipline. It's all about holding on. Dhamma is all about letting go. And when you learn how the two of those qualities or principles work together, and they really come into harmony and balance, that is when sort of realization occurs. That's when awakening can occur. So it's like learning how to balance those qualities within our heart, learning or recognizing, because there is this sense, okay, I just want to relinquish, I want to let it go, I don't want to hang on to these material things or my views and opinions, and I just don't want to have to deal with it. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's balanced. And same with okay, I've got these rules, or I got these conventions that I want to follow, or I want this way of practice that I want to just stick with. And is it actually balanced? Well, oftentimes not. So it's just learning how to balance those qualities, and so that this sense of learning how to live and embody Dhamma Vinaya, the teaching and the training, being interested in studying and learning, and I think that sense of having the tradition and having, say, like ceremony and ritual. Like, is it a ritual? Is it a ceremony once a year to come and offer cloth and come to the monastery? Yeah. Is it absolutely necessary? No. Is it helpful and useful? Yeah, absolutely. Because it gives occasion for people to gather and to support each other. And that's one of the things that I think, particularly, you think in terms of pandemic. Probably the thing that people are most missing is the opportunity of kind of contact in a really positive way, support in a emotional support, the support of like encouragement and warmth of just human communal contact and engaging together, because that's we're pretty hardwired as human beings to live together, and that's one of the things that say the Buddha's teachings, besides the, say, solitary meditation and say investigations of reality. That's really solid teachings about how to live together skillfully, so that the aspects of say, like communal harmony, and the Buddha places a tremendous amount of importance on the different, and there's many different teachings on that, the ways of developing communal harmony. One that pops to mind is just in terms of our interactions of by body, by speech, and by mind, and that they're rooted in, grounded in loving kindness, so that engaging in acts together of say, physical action is grounded in loving kindness, say, as opposed to either selfishness or aversion or kind of divisiveness. There's a sense of kindness. It is your reference point, and when one is actually doing that. And the same with speech, as well as thoughts. It's just trying to return to that principle of loving kindness, and loving kindness isn't. I mean, it's so many of the Buddhist principles or fundamental kind of themes that the Buddha teaches about are sometimes hard to express in English, because even the word that we use as loving kindness has much more a connotation of well-wishing. Because sometimes you say, well, loving kindness, or you got to have these loving thoughts towards somebody, but somebody can be, oftentimes people can be really irritating or frustrating, which is, that's not a reason to not wish them well. You might not have the most loving thoughts towards them, but you can wish them well, and you can treat them kindly, and so that nuance or that distinction opens up huge possibilities. So that sense of when we're engaging in actions by body, by speech, by mind, you're returning to those principles of loving kindness, just that well-wishing, that sense of consideration, that understanding that nobody responds well through aversion. I mean, it doesn't matter how reasonable it sounds. If you say something out of aversion and ill will, the response is almost invariably going to be, it's just going to not be very smooth. It's not going to be very beautiful. It's not going to be comfortable. So that returning to that principle of loving kindness, also the sense of non-aversion. I mean, that's what the Luang Por Sumedho used to use that for the longest time. I think when he first came to his early years of teaching in the West, teaching in England, trying to sort of lift up lofty ideals of loving kindness was sort of, but it would seem so unreachable. But to encourage people to not dwell in aversion, is okay. That's doable. I can do that. I can not sort of feed aversion and just get caught in aversion. So that dwelling in non-aversion. So that there's these aspects of our actions of body, speech, and mind. Just loving kindness, dwelling in that. That is conducive to communal harmony. The sense of being willing to share whatever one has with others, and that's that sense of sharing, of giving, and that sometimes when the Buddha teaching the monks about that sort of sharing and as a bit, even if it's to the say alms food in your bowl, to be willing to share that, so that whatever we have, we're willing to share, we're willing to give, we're willing to not just think of kind of me first, but being able to share, looking out for the needs of others, looking out for the sense that say when there's something that needs to be done, because the sharing is also being willing to share our efforts and attention. I can. Things that need to be done all the time, whether one's in the monastery or whether one's at work or at home. There's always things that need to be done. Can I help? Can I give of my attention and my time and my effort to help others? And so I can share in so many areas. It doesn't even necessarily have to be of a material nature. But it's that sharing of attention and being willing to help each other out as human beings. One's recognizing, here we are in this human condition, and it's not comfortable for anybody. We begin coming into the world wailing, and we spend the rest of the time grumbling, complaining, and then we die. So just being willing to help each other out and be attentive to each other's needs, giving and sharing, and then also drawing close to those who one shares there's like a shared appreciation of virtue, that where And that drawing close to those, that's really conducive to harmony in the sense that, and it's not, how do you say, self-righteous. I'm purer than you. I keep better precepts than you. Whatever. No, but it's a shared appreciation of values that are grounded in virtue or in integrity. So that, because it really is uncomfortable to spend time with around people who are really not much integrity, and it's not a judgment. It just is well, it is, but but you have to exercise some kind of recognition that it has a different effect. It affects me differently. If I spend the more time I spend with somebody who is really not very virtuous, doesn't live their life with much integrity, it's agitating. It's not peaceful. It's not settling. It's not illuminating. It doesn't brighten the heart. So so it's a very practical sense. This is the effect, and the effect that I really seek in my life is something that really brightens my heart. And the same with say with view, like drawing close to others that have similar views, similar values, similar perspectives on the world. And again, then the nature of human beings, that we're all going to have a variety of views and perspectives, but there's kind of themes that are important to us, that are really important, and we want to draw close to those who we share that similar values, and so that in terms of, say, from the Buddhist perspective, the word is ditti, and the views, and it's views, opinions, but we have to have some kind of view. It's just not some sort of blotted out kind of nothing in the mind. That's not how we function. So but recognizing, no, this is what's of value to me. This kind of worldview, this kind of world perspective, this kind of perspective of what is really important in life. This matters to me, and I want to draw close to others who have similar values. It's again, one isn't sort of using it as a club or to judge others, but it's more like, no, in a very real sense, it affects our well-being and our lack of well-being, our agitation. So that he's paying attention to things that do support this sense of communal harmony, and of course the Buddha's establishing of say a Kathina ceremony it does that's one of its main functions, and one kind of function, and as well as demonstrating. Like by the end of this week, many people will have come through, and the link is drawing close to Buddha Dhamma Sangha, drawing close to the community, drawing close to the teachings, drawing close to each other as community members that have a sense of appreciation for the Buddha's teaching. So that's something to really delight in and have a real sense of joy. Is that sometimes Dhamma practice can be pretty joyless, and if it's too much up in the head, it ends up being not very joyful. So that bringing the practice back to how do we live it, how do we interact with it, how do we implement it into our daily life, and then allowing that to be a source of well-being and happiness. So today people have gathered and taken precepts together, made offerings together, and joined in the ceremonies. And it's just to express my appreciation and my anumodana to all of you.